Alright, welcome to the second and final part of Video Games Imperialism USA Edition. Today, 20 games will fight to become the best USA game. The link to the first part is in the description, and now let's start. And the first one we are getting is Metal Gear Solid. Let's spin the arrow, and the opponent will be Detroit Become Human, for the music and OST. This is an interesting battle. Story and gameplay battles wouldn't have been this interesting. Detroit music is definitely good, especially when situations are tough. But Metal Gear Solid's soundtrack is still better. Even after 25 years, even for a PlayStation 1 game. You can hear MGS tracks on YouTube because it will take the win here to capture Michigan or Detroit Become Human. Now for the next game, let's see who we get. And it's Hitman Blood Money. And it will attack the Game of Thrones Telltale, for story and narrative. See, the Game of Thrones story is a masterpiece if you ask me. But this game does not follow the original story. And I'm not saying this story is bad, because story is actually pretty good if you include all the interactive things you can do. But still, it's not at the level of Hitman Blood Money, which actually presented an amazing story with all the action it has. So, Hitman Blood Money will take the winner and capture the territory. So now for the next one, and it's Hitman Blood Money again, against Left 4 Dead, for its story. Now I'm not rigging anything, but let's compare Left 4 Dead and Hitman Blood Money story. I already talked about how Hitman Blood Money story is amazing when it's combined with all the action it has, and Left 4 Dead isn't really a very story-focused game if you ask me. It has some extraordinary things, but story isn't one of them. So Hitman Blood Money will capture more territory. Okay, let's see who's next. And it's Joe Biden dating simulator against The Last of Us Part 2. Now I'm not even kidding. I don't think we even need a category for this because clearly you know the winner. Next spin time, and I'm hoping this time it's a big game, and it's Fallout 3, again with The Last of Us Part 2 for story and narrative. Now, I don't think I need to say much about it because The Last of Us 2 story is one of the best ever told if you ask me. I won't say it's the best gaming story ever, like many people say, but it's still better than a lot of games, especially games like Fallout 3. I think it's an easy win for The Last of Us Part 2, and it will capture all the states of Fallout 3. Now let's see who's next, and it's Far Cry 6 against Red Dead Redemption 2 for replayability value. Both games are definitely replayable. I'm not gonna lie. Far Cry 6, you can play it again, and it will give you a lot of fun. And I don't think I need to mention how good Red Dead Redemption 2 is on the second run because I personally have played it multiple times. But we need a winner. We need to find out who's the better game when it comes to replayability, and the winner is Red Dead Redemption 2. See, Red Dead Redemption 2 is simply bigger, better, and you can say smarter when it comes to all the things it offers in a replay. While you can try Far Cry 6, I don't think it will be on the family level of Red Dead Redemption 2, so it will take over the territory of Far Cry 6. Now let's speed things up for a bit. First, Hitman Blood Money lost to The Last of Us. Part 2 for sound and music. Then Puzzle Agent lost to Watch Dogs for the gameplay. Then, unexpectedly, Watch Dogs reappeared and defeated the disappearance of Ethan Carter for supporting characters. Slayer's X also lost to The Last of Us, Part 2 for replayability. That's not all because Red Dead Redemption 2 defeated Carmen Sandiego in North Dakota for Polish instability. Damage Incorporated also lost to Last of Us Part 2 for replayability. Finally, we are down to the Super 8. And these 8 games will fight to win this long war, or championship, you could say. Let's spin for the next one, and it's The Last of Us Part 2. This will be brutal for whoever the opponent will be. It's Modern Warfare 3 for the overall polish and stability. I like these two games a lot, especially Modern Warfare 3. I mean, it has many memories for me. But we need a winner for polish and stability. Who's going to take a win? The Activision giant or the Naughty Dog giant? I think Modern Warfare 3 is a fairly good game when it comes to stability. It does not have many insane glitches, and the overall finish is good. And The Last of Us 2? It's better. I mean, it's a big game, and yet they managed to make it so good. It's a feat that many won't be able to achieve. The Last of Us 2 is more stable, period. So it will capture Call of Duty. Let's do another spin. And damn, it's The Last of Us Part 2 again. It's insane at this point. It will go against Metal Gear Solid. Let's see the category. Oh, supporting characters. This is an interesting one because both games are known for having good characters and rarely terrible characters. But when it comes to supporting characters, We are not talking about the main guys. Like, we have to separate Ellie and Solid Snake out of the picture. We need to talk about the guys that do not get most of the screen time, yet they make games a lot better. And both games are good at this. They both have amazing supporting characters. I like Metal Gear Solid a lot just because of all the supporting characters it features. But sadly, the very first Metal Gear Solid game's soul is not in the supporting characters. The later games are good, filled with a lot of good supporting characters, but the first one is not on that level. While The Last of Us Part 2 did it well, it was amazing. It did a great job of featuring many side characters that are memorable as hell. If you have played this game, you know what I'm talking about. It has evil characters, good characters, and horrible characters.
When it comes to morals and deep levels of personality, I think the Supporting Characters Award will go to The Last of Us Part 2.
Now, can we get something other than The Last of Us? Oh, Silent Hill 2 is interesting. Against, oh, The Last of Us Part 1. This will never end. The category will be replayability. Ha! This is going to be tough and interesting at the same time. Silent Hill 2 is a slow-burn epic horror game. When you play it for the first time, it just captures you. The secret and the mysterious aura around it make it a masterpiece. And it's replayable too. You can't get through it in just one run. You will need and feel the need to have a rerun on it. And The Last of Us, and I'm talking about The Last of Us, Part 1, not the 2. And The Last of Us. Part 1's story was far better than The Last of Us 2, if you ask me. And I'm talking about just the story. And just the story alone will make you replay it again and again, if you ask me. I personally haven't played it many times, but still, I did a replay, and a lot of people did. Because the game has many replayable aspects, and it's very close. It's too close. One of the closest battles we have had so far, but still, The Last of Us Part 1 will take the win home. I'm not saying that Silent Hill is very far behind The Last of Us, but it will simply not be able to win. It's crazy how close we are to finishing it all. Next up is Watch Dogs. Again, The Last of Us Part 2. For replayability, oh hell, this is poetic. This battle won't be as close as the previous one because Watch Dogs is not as good as Silent Hill 2, period. But it is replayable. It is definitely replayable. But The Last of Us Part 2, even though I mentioned earlier that it does not have a story as good as The Last of Us Part 1, but overall, they did a better job at this. It has better gameplay, if you ask me. It has better mechanics, a lot of things to be exact. And it is a very replayable game, more than even Watch Dogs. See, when you finish Watch Dogs the first time, there isn't much, interest in replaying it again. But in The Last of Us Part 2, you do want to go again. Unless something happens to your favorite character, if you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, The Last of Us Part 2 will survive, and the Watch Dogs will go home. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. Let's see who we get now. Okay, it's The Last of Us, Part 1, against The Last of Us. Part 2, This Is the World Needed, and the category will be gameplay. Okay, this is definitely going to be hard, but we need to pick a winner. We are very close to victory, and 2 of The Last of Us games are featured. It just shows how good these games are if they have survived so far. But now for the gameplay. The Last of Us, Part 1, originally a PS3 game, was released in 2013. And even at that time, this game was amazing and very ahead of its time, which is like one of the best games of this century. And it's a shame that its PC port was crap. Now let's talk about Last of Us Part 2 a bit, because it is better. The story of Last of Us Part 2 is not as good as Part 1. I think that's an opinion a lot of people will agree on, but the gameplay, the graphics, the art, and the mechanics are better. That's simply better. They did a great job at that. It feels better to play The Last of Us Part 2, even if the story is not that good. Yeah, they made a few mistakes here and there, but the gameplay was fabulous. So The Last of Us Part 2 will survive, and The Last of Us Part 1 will go home from here. The next one is Resident Evil 7 versus The Last of Us Part 2, for the category of supporting characters. Okay, this won't be very deep. Resident Evil 7 is one of the finest horror games I've ever played, but it's about supporting characters. That's the category we have now. And for that, it does not stand a chance against The Last of Us Part 2. I talked about earlier how The Last of Us has one of the best side characters, who really makes the game a lot cooler. Yeah, it's a shame they did not get a lot of focus overall, but they do have good characters. So The Last of Us Part 2 will go to the final 2, and Resident Evil 7 will go home. Here we are at the final stage, after 48 games have already been eliminated. but 2 games have survived. We have Red Dead Redemption Part 2 and The Last of Us Part 2. These 2 sequels will now fight to become the best USA game. And it won't be a one-off match because it will be very unfair, so we're going to do the best of 3 categories. So let's spin for the first category, and it's innovation and creativity. The second one is story, and the third one is music. Now, in these 3 categories, we're going to talk about them and see who's going to win. Let's do them one by one. First, let's talk about the music. Let's cut this out because I think it's the least important. Now, for the music, Red Dead Redemption 2's music is good. It gives you that Western spirit. But The Last of Us Part 2 perfectly captures what the game is about. It has everything you could ask for in a soundtrack. I still listen to this soundtrack sometimes. The Last of Us 2 gets the point for the music. The next one is innovation and creativity. This is going to be a very controversial pick, because as you know, both games have very large fan bases, and they will tear each other apart for whoever the better game is. But when it comes to innovation and creativity, I think The Last of Us 2 will not be able to compete with Red Dead Redemption 2. It's more innovative and creative. I know the difference is not huge, but there is a difference. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is better when it comes to innovation and creativity. They really made the game so much better, a masterpiece. After the success of the Red Dead Redemption 1 game, they could have just made another boring sequel. But instead, they used their brains. They made it a lot better. They innovated. They brought new things. And yeah, the score is now tied at 1-1. And now let's talk about the very final category for Best Game of the USA. And the category is Story. Now, I don't have to say a lot of things, because the more I talk about it, the more confusing it will get. Let's keep it as short as possible. I might even make a video about it later, but the winner of Better Story is Red Dead Redemption 2. Now let me explain why I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is better. Number 1, the Red Dead Redemption 2 story is perfect for its character, Arthur Morgan. The whole story is very, we can say, justice to him. And the Red Dead Redemption 2 story completely slowly builds up. It starts with a very normal story, but the way the story builds up until the end, it just gets better and better and better. And the ending is poetic. In The Last of Us Part 2, the story completely changes around the midpoint. You felt the game was going to be something else. Now you will say that's a plot twist, but a plot twist should be good. And when it comes to a game like The Last of Us Part 2, it should have been the best. So yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is your best USA game. Alright, we have crowned the champion of them all. A game that started as a contender for Wyoming is now the champion. I know a lot of people already thought Red Dead Redemption 2 would win this, and they are right. The Last of Us games made it to the Final 4. That's crazy if you ask me. And at the end, I just want to say that it took a lot of time to finally bring this idea to reality. But I promise we are not going to stop here. It will get better from here, trust me. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.